And where the freak is my... Did you all get over here? Let me see. There we are. Okay, good. Jen got here, Megan else. And I have my sound on. Okay. So, if you were in the Craft Live, we talked about, just briefly, I just want to go over it since this is true crime. Matthew Lance, I want to call him almost Lance, like, remember like the Lance, L-A-N-T-Z, but it's Lanz, like, so it's Lanz, L-A-N-Z, was sentenced today. He chose to exercise his right to not appear at his sentencing, to not appear during the victim's impact statements, and there were a lot of them, and he chose not to be there, so he wasn't there, and he received 2 life sentences without parole consecutively, and then the other charges that he had, they were attached to each one. So then he had some other charges that were like plus 12. I think that was one of the gun charges. Then he had the child abuse charges for the 2-year-old. So yeah, if you haven't seen that, yeah, there was a lot of victims' impact statements, and you found out a lot of stuff about Amber was the mother of the 2-year-old that he killed. Her own mother, after she gave birth to her, and that was their first child, she found out she had cancer 11 days later and died when Amber was 3 months old. So Amber lost her mother at 3 months old, and now Amber's son has lost his mother at 2 years old and his father. Okay, so yeah, I think he's being raised by the paternal grandparents, and he has a maternal grandfather, and I believe the father is remarried. I believe, maybe not. I'm not sure, but he's definitely there. So, and they have a lot of cousins and things. Amber was an only child, but Justin had a brother. I know he has at least a brother and a sister. Yeah, three kids. So yeah, very sad. So if you didn't see the victims' impact statements, go and check that out. But that's just a crazy story. If you didn't follow that at all, I put in the FOIA for those materials because you couldn't hear the interview well, and I wanted to hear more about like what the freak happened with the brother, and why was this kid like catatonic when he was in the courtroom, but he looked like he was talking to them when they were doing the interview, and what in the world did he do any of that for? I don't know. So I'm going to get that, and but right now we're going to go to more of Casey Anthony's interviews, which I am really enjoying because, like I said, when this happened, I was pregnant and finishing my bachelor's degree, and I did not really at that time couldn't get into, like Scooter said, she was reading everything around, and it wasn't. And then like 3 years later when they had the trial, yes, I watched that trial, but I missed a lot of this stuff with these interviews with his friends. So I am learning some stuff here about this. So I am glad that we are revisiting this. Okay. Let's see now. We are going to go to do we do this one? This is Cameron Campina. Let's see who this is. This was October 6, 2008. So this is about 2 months before they found Caylee. All right. So we've got Yuri again. Hold on. I've got to shut this heat behind me. Now, believe it or not, I'm burning up now. Okay. Okay. So they say, I'm Detective Mellick with the Orange County Sheriff's Office. Also present is Detective Danny Woodward. And present is Cameron. Cameron, will you please state your name and birthday? And then Cameron says it's Cameron Campina. And July 24th, 1987. And then Yuri says, okay, you're aware this is being recorded. Yes. Any objection? No. Okay, Cameron, I gave you a call earlier this morning. I had some questions about this Caylee Anthony case, and I need clarification with you. Okay, says Cameron. Yuri says, you agreed to come down. It's just before 1. You came right after from school. And obviously the door is closed for privacy, but you're under no obligation. If you felt uncomfortable, you can get up and you can leave at any time. Cameron says, right. Yuri says, are you okay with that? Yeah, says Cameron. Yuri says, all right. We sat here just a moment and talked about the questions I was going to ask you. And in short, there were some accusations that came up about Casey having used drugs aside from marijuana. And specifically, that while I was talking to people throughout this case, ecstasy came up, or ecstasy and Xanax came up. And I asked you early on if there were any indications that people were to go to your group and ask, that they want some Xanax, that they would come to you and you would be the one that would be a little bit, I guess, of a supply the Xanax if they were looking for a pill or 2 pills. So tell me a little bit about that. And Cameron says, I know a lot of people in our school and I can find certain things. And if my friends wanted something, they could come to me and I could possibly find it for them. Mostly it was either weed, occasionally Xanax. People would ask me for other things, but I wouldn't go out of my way to get those other things, because I don't want to take part of that. Says Yuri. Cameron says, such as some people might ask me for acid, and I just tell them, I'll look for you, but I won't call them back. Says Yuri. Cameron says, because I don't want to have to go out of my way to do stuff like that. Yuri says, what about ecstasy? Cameron says, ecstasy? I was able to get that maybe towards the beginning of my school year and maybe in the middle, but when Casey was around, not around that time. Yuri says, if you were to have Xanax in your possession or ecstasy in your possession, let's just stay on Xanax. How many pills would you have in your possession at any time, any given time? Cameron says maybe 2, 3, tops. Yuri says, okay. Were they for your personal use or did you... Personal, says Cameron. Yuri says, did you ever give away or sell any to any of her friends? Like if they said, hey, I'll give you $5 for a pill. Cameron says, yes and no. Most of it was personal use, but I didn't want them on me or in my apartment. If one of my friends were to come by and say hey, I need a Xanax. Well, I'd be like, well, you know what? I have an extra one that I don't even want. Here, either take it or maybe give me $3 or something like that. Yuri says, okay, and for the record, you're not going to get in trouble for telling me this. I know, says Cameron. Yuri says, this is simply to get information. So, okay, yes, Cameron says. Yuri says, so I have something to build on. Okay, but you're not going to get in trouble for what you just... All right, says Cameron, told me, and what you're going to tell me, if during that time that Casey was at yours and Tony's apartment, and we're talking, being in June, you said that she would smoke marijuana, she would smoke a pipe, and you kind of detailed that a little bit for me in the 3 weeks that she was at the apartment. I want you to tell me about that again. Cameron says, she wasn't, she kind of, I wouldn't say that she's like your normal drug user or anything like that. She didn't seem like that. I mean, kind of, I know, I wouldn't say peer pressure, just kind of like, made fun of her. Come on, Casey. Okay? Like, hit this bowl or something. Like, she might have hit it once. And then it kind of became like a nightly thing where she would, like, maybe have a hit of a pipe 2-3 times. And then we would just be, like, watching TV, and then she would be making us a bunch of food. And, like, one morning I remember her, one night, I remember her cooking waffles, stuff like that. Like, nothing out of the ordinary, Yuri. Oh, and so in the past 2 weeks that she was at the apartment, like the last 2 weeks that you remember was about one time a night, a couple of tokes off a pipe a night? Yeah, says Cameron. Yuri says, were you guys smoking dirty or was it crippy? What the heck is crippy? Cameron says, Yuri says, or what kind? Cameron says, it was crippy? Yuri says, it was crippy? Cameron says, yes. And then Yuri says, okay, so crippy again for in layman's terms. Yeah, tell us what it is. It's, Cameron says, Yuri says, is marijuana with, Cameron says, really the good stuff. Yuri says, the good stuff. Okay, did you lace it or would you lace it? No, Cameron says. Yuri says, with anything else. Cameron says, I don't mess with lacing, okay, of any of that, because when it comes to weed, I use it more for anxiety and kind of like to calm down before after a long day of school. If I'm worked up over a test or something, if I'm worried, it'll kind of relax me a little bit. And then I always think that it's whenever I hear people say, oh, this stuff is laced or something like that, I'm like, why would you ever want to do that to weed? Yuri says, how was that? How was she when she smoked weed, Casey? Cameron said, she seemed to like almost like, trying to think how to explain it. Like your first time, like almost the first time you ever smoke weed, she would get like high off very little. And then she'd always be laughing, smiling, just having a good time. Watching TV, movies, cooking food. Yuri, Cameron, yeah, and honestly, that was about it. Yuri, did you ever give her any type of drug other than marijuana? Did you ever? No, Cameron says. Ever? Yuri says. No, Cameron says. Yuri, supply her with any, okay, or tell me, hey, you can go to my room and go pick this up. Cameron, never. Yuri, hey, you want to try one of these? Anything like that? Cameron, no. Yuri, do you know of anyone in your circle of friends or anyone you know, period, that says or that supplied her with anything but marijuana? Cameron, I do not know of anyone. I even asked my friends, like my good friends, because Tony's even brought it up to me, and I brought it up to my friends that might have possibly, but honestly, during the month that she was living with us, she was really only at the apartment unless she went out with Tony. She was there maybe 1 time, 2 times, and that her and Tony came over Sean's apartment over in Sutton Place. Sean, yeah, says Yuri. Says Cameron. Sean Fraser, says Yuri. Cameron says yes. Yuri says okay. Cameron says, and like mostly they were kind of just like the kind of locked in couple. I mean, they would either hang out in Tony's bedroom or in the living room, like when Tony wasn't in school. Yuri, where does Sean live in relation to where Tony used to live at Sutton Place? Is it within the same building? Cameron, if you go to our, if you go into our walkway to get to their building, yeah, says Yuri. Well, actually, do you know where the volleyball court is, says Cameron. Yuri says yes. Cameron says, it's that building right there that you look out this balcony. You see that back lake? And then you see to the left there's a pool and the sand and the volleyball court? Yuri, okay, so it's not the same building. Cameron, it's not. I don't know what the building number is offhand, but it's, Yuri says, if I come out of Sutton Place towards the parking lot where you used to live, go down the stairs, there's a parking lot. Yeah, says Cameron. Yuri says, what building is that? Cameron says, you just go straight. Uh-huh, says Yuri. And then you're at a dead end, and it's one of those right over there on the right. Yuri says, the one right there on the right? Okay. And you mentioned something about, well, actually, I'll backtrack. While Casey was staying at the apartment and you were, says Cameron, while you were there, do you ever recollect or remember her waking up at night in cold sweats or crying? Cameron, no. Yuri, or saying anything peculiar to you? Cameron, no. The only thing I ever heard was maybe, noises from her and Tony sleeping together. Yuri, Cameron, other than that, no. I was either in my room or I wasn't home. Yuri, did Tony ever make mention to you about her waking up in cold sweats or waking up? No. Yuri, and being upset about something? Cameron, never. Yuri, okay. Is there anything else? I mean, 3 months have passed since... Cameron, yes. Yuri, Caylee went missing about 2.5 months since we last talked. Is there anything else in the past 2.5 months that you've come to realize or come to learn about Casey that you feel is important to this case that you wanted to share with me? Cameron, I've been trying to think of this, but honestly, I haven't been able to come up with anything. The only thing that I've ever heard that she said was like, well, the first time that she slept over, I asked like, oh, where's Caylee? And she's like, oh, yeah, that it's with a friend of the family. And then she's with a friend of the family down in Cocoa Beach because she said Caylee had a little like 3-year-old friend. Yuri, Cameron, that was a little boy, and it was like a friend of the family, so it was like a birthday party out there in Cocoa Beach, and like they were watching Caylee for the weekend. Yuri, and just to clarify something we've already gone over, okay? This babysitter that you mentioned, have you ever met her? I have never met her, Cameron says. Yuri says, you never seen her? Cameron, never seen her. Yuri, oh. Cameron, I've never even heard the name. I just heard or known her as the nanny. Yuri, were you ever present during a conversation Casey might have had on the phone with this person? No. If Casey ever had a phone call, she would always step outside, and most of the times it was with her mom. And I remember, like, because I would see her walking around the grass and, like, behind the apartment. Yuri, Cameron, and kind of like pacing around, just talking, and I was like, so, why you always go for the long walk? And she's like, oh, it's just my time to vent with my mom. Me and my mom never get along. Stuff like that. Yuri, did she say anything to you? Do you recall her having conversations with you guys being anyone in the apartment about a fight she had with her mom, like that Sunday before she came over to your place? Cameron, she never mentioned a specific fight. I just, like, she's told me that her and her mom are always getting at each other's throats, And she said, like, that when she first started, like, living with us, she said that Caylee was with a babysitter because she didn't want to keep a room at the grandparents' house because Casey said she was going to be looking for an apartment, and I think it might have been Amy. Says Yuri. And then Cameron says, they were going to go try to get an apartment. I mean, she was trying to get an apartment so she could get Caylee out of her parents' house, and yeah, that was about it. Yuri, did she ever make any mention to you or in your presence or that you know of about any impropriety, like, sexual impropriety between her brother Lee, her, any allegations that he might have done this or tried this? No, says Cameron. What about her father, George? Anything? No, Cameron says. Yuri says, she ever make any allegations about being abused by her boyfriends or anything like that? No, the only thing I ever heard her say about her dad, I heard something, I heard something going on, like her and Tony talking about how supposedly her dad was cheating on her mom or something. Ooh. Oh, says Yuri. And Cameron says, and that he was moving out. He's moving out. And then, like that, I just caught that little glimpses. Nothing that kind of. Yuri, okay. Do you have anything? Raise your right hand for me. You swear and affirm that everything you said is the truth. He says, yes, okay. Okay, so he really didn't tell that much of anything. Let's see what else we got. Alrighty. That was Dominic. Did we do Dominic? This is after they found. This is after they found her, right? Yes. Dominic. We didn't do Dominic. Did we? No, Dominic Casey. Did we? I don't think so. All right, so we have Nick Savage, Brad Conway, lawyer, Mr. Dominic Casey, Sergeant John Allen. Okay, special agent, that's the FBI, that's Nicholas Savage. Okay. All right, today's date, January the 7th, 2009, approximately 1900 hours. This is Sergeant John Allen with the Orange County Sheriff's Office. I'm at this address. We're here at the law office of Brad Conway, also present. Attorney Brad Conway, Special Agent Nick Savage of the FBI, and Dominic Casey. All right, Dominic, can you raise your right hand? Okay, swears to tell the truth. Yes, he does. Okay. And then who's this? It's John Allen. Okay, gotta remember that's John Allen. Okay, all right, Mr. Casey, you agreed to meet with us here in Mr. Conway's office to talk about the investigation into the death of Caylee Anthony. Is that correct? That's correct, says Dominic. You understand you're being tape recorded? Yes, I do, says Dominic. John says, you have no issue with that, right? No, sir, I do not, says Dominic. John says, okay, Mr. Conway? Why did they say Mr. Conway? Why did they call him Mr. Casey up here? Conway is the lawyer. What is that about? Mr. Conway, yes, sir. And then John said, all right, Dominic, could you just kind of start from the beginning? We've talked a little bit about this tip that you got out on Suburban Drive. Can you start from the beginning and just explain to us, and tell us how you came to be out there searching? Dominic says, I was not out there. The beginning of this, there was a meet and greet on Saturday morning at the command center. John, Saturday, could you recall the date? November the 15th. John, November the 15th? Okay. Dominic, November the 15th. John, okay. Dominic, at the meet and greet. I was headed out to meet and greet. And in Kyle Marie Cruz's statement, she stated that there was a hangout where they hung out. That was one thing in Kyle Marie's statement that I had not seen verified. So I thought on Saturday, when I go to the meet and greet, I will go ahead and run by there and just take a look and see if it's a hangout. John, okay, this was, Dominic said something inaudible. John said this was Saturday morning that you were going by there to the meet and greet. Dominic says the meet and greet, Saturday, 10 a.m. John, okay, and that would have been November the, Dominic, 15th. John, the 15th, okay. Correct, says Dominic. John says, all right, so you on the way to meet and greet, you decide to stop. You stop by, Dominic, I received a, John, Suburban Drive? Dominic, I received a telephone call. What I had done, I had called James Hoover a couple of days before, and I invited him at the request of the family to be at the meet and greet. John, okay. Dominic, so the arrangement was I would go meet him at my office. So then he could follow me down and whatever. When I got to go to the office, he was there sitting in the parking lot, and I said, why don't we go in? Go in my car there instead of taking both. So I said, John, okay. Dominic said, sure, that's fine. And on the way over there, I received a call from a Jeanette Lucas. John, okay. About what time did you get a call from Jeanette Lucas? Dominic, I'm going to say it had to be between 7 and 8. Okay, says John. Dominic says 8 o'clock. John says, what time did you meet? What time did you meet James Hoover? Dominic, he wasn't much longer after that. John, okay, so you got the phone call from Jeanette before you had met Hoover. That's correct, says Dominic. John, okay, so you get this phone call from Jeanette. Says Dominic. John says, and then she's a psychic? Dominic, that's what she indicated to me. Okay, she told you she was a psychic. Dominic said, no, she didn't tell me she was a psychic. She was telling me, well, she told me that she was some other name. I don't know what's the name she used. Anyway, she had this image, this whatever. So I'm freaking out like, John, an image? What? I mean, like, did she describe, how were these images? Dominic, she described, John, coming to her? Dominic, that she had seen Caylee Marie. John, not physically seen her like in a Dominic, not physically seen her. Clairvoyant, says John. Dominic says, but seen her in the presence of whatever that may be. I don't know what. Okay, and then somebody says, I'm confused about, you said, who was using a different name? Dominic, excuse me? That NS person says, who was using a different name? Dominic says, who was using? I'm not even sure what you're talking about. What is wrong with you? And then they said, I believe you said, and Dominic said, Jeanette Lucas. And then that NS person said, yes. And Dominic said, what's the name? What's the name on the card? NS said, and she contacted you? And she contacted you as Jeanette Lucas? Dominic says, Ginny. And then Dominic says, that's her. BC says, okay. Dominic says, Ginny. Ginny is what she goes by, Ginny. Okay, says NS. But her full name is Jeanette Lucas, says Dominic. Okay, well, says NS. Now John's back on the game again. Okay, so we want to be clear about what you were saying. Ginny, Jeanette, or Ginny called you? Dominic, called me. John, Saturday morning she told you she had a vision of some sort. Dominic, she had a vision. John, okay. Dominic, and she had a vision of seeing Caylee Marie Anthony. John, okay. Dominic, and she described where it was. John, okay. Dominic, so? John, and how'd she describe it? I mean, how did she tell you that she was on Suburban Drive? Dominic says she didn't say Suburban Drive. John, okay. Dominic says she said it's an area. She said it's at the end of Hope Spring Drive. She said, I don't know what it is, but there's a school nearby and there's some woods nearby. There's a house on the corner. If you look at the corner, the house on the corner, and you follow the fence line down, it opens to woods and there's... John's like, okay. Dominic says, and there's woods in there. And if you go down, and she said something like, how many yards, whatever it may be. John, okay. Dominic, if I'd walk in, she said, I believe that's where you'll see 3 concrete blocks. Okay, says John. Dominic says that's what she described them as, concrete blocks. And when I first pulled up, We had first pulled up at Suburban. She called me again and she said, Are you there? Have you seen it? I said, yeah, and I walked away from James Hoover and I walked away from the truck and I'm talking to her. So I said, okay, I'm here. I said, okay. She said, tell me what you're seeing. And I was telling her, well, I see some woods at the end of a house. And she goes, how far down? And I said, I don't know, maybe 30, 50 feet, whatever it is. She said, then walk in it. Then she said, and you'll see concrete blocks. So I go walking and I say I was like around 25 to 30 feet maximum. And all you could see was trash. That's nice. You could see garbage, beer bottles, beer cans. Then some water. And I remember there was seeing a toilet sitting there. Oh, sounds lovely. John. Okay. Dominic. And then I look across because I'm turning around. I look across and I could see these pavers. I was not on the phone then. I saw the pavers. I am totally freaking out now. Okay. And you're freaking out because John, she's telling you? Dominic, she's telling me what I'm supposed to find, what I'm supposed to be seeing, what she's seeing. Okay? And S says, when you were driving there, did you tell James Hoover what you were doing? Dominic said, I told James Hoover, I said, we're going to be doing a meet and greet. I said, first off, we're going to have breakfast and with Michelle. J.A. says, Dominic says, we're going to have breakfast with her at the hotel. But I said, first of all, before we go there, I said, I'm going to stop down at Suburban Drive and then I'm going to go take a look in those woods. And I said, I just got a call with a tip. And I told him it was a tip. John, okay. Dominic, I did not tell him it was anything other than because I'm thinking like, now, how am I going to tell everybody it's from a psychic? Just when I am following some psychic, whatever, I wasn't even going to go there for that to begin with. Here I am just going to go rule something out. Okay, says John. Dominic says, and I'm getting a call from this person. And again, just so I'm clear, what were you trying to rule out, says Ines. Dominic says, rule out that it was a child hangout that Keo Marie Cruz had said in a statement that that they all used it to hang out there, to do whatever they did, okay? Party or whatever. But that was what I wanted to clarify, Dominic, because this is the lawyer, Brad Conway. Because were you already on your way because that's what you were going to do? Dominic, correct. Brad. And then you got the call? Dominic. That's correct. Sorry. John says, so you were driving down there to rule out whether or not this wooded area was you were ready to rule out that if it was a childhood hangout. I'm not sure what were you going to, but what would you see that would tell you if this is a childhood hangout, that this is not... What was going to be there, the decider for you? Dominic, the decider for me was like, you could see somewhere where people have been sitting around, hanging out, like a makeshift with beer cans, usual stuff you see with teenagers and everything. Okay, and then next we have, okay, I think you lost me, says John. Casey's 22 now. That's correct, says Dominic. J.A. says, how are you going to determine whether this is a place where she hung out when she was a child? I'm Dominic. To my understanding, it was a place where teenagers hang out. That's my impression that I had. John. Okay, well, Dominic. Teenagers. John. Even still, okay? She hadn't been a teenager in, like 3 years. So, come on now. When you got, well, what was in your mind when you were going to go there and you're going to walk in the woods? I don't understand. And you were going to make, it's going to make you think that there is somewhere Casey hung out versus somewhere Casey didn't hang out? Like, how are you going to determine that? Dominic, I would determine that I was looking just to see if there's anything annoying, like that would show me it was an actual hangout, that people hang out, or is it just a pile of wooded area? Ines, if you had made that determination, what would have been your next course of action? That you corroborated that this was a teen hangout? And I mean, Dominic, that was it. Ines, so, Dominic, there was no Ines. I'm just confused as to, this is Nick Savage from the FBI. I'm just confused as why you would drive to that location and confirm whether or not Casey hung out there as a teenager. John, well, what would you derive from that? I mean, it's like if you had gotten there and had, found, this is a place she hung out in when she was a teenager, you would say, then what was your next step? Or what would you do? That's, I don't know, important. Dominic says, there would have been no next step. I would have eliminated the last final part of her statement because I had gone through all the questions and all the questions on the Keo Marie thing that she made, looking to verify everything as I went through it all, and I made statements, and that was the one thing that she said was still out there that I don't have. John, and if you had gotten there and you determined that it was a child hangout, Dominic, right? What would you have done then? Dominic, determined that it was a child hangout, that it was it? John, okay, so you had you, if you determined it either was or wasn't, how was it going to make a difference either way? Dominic, it was not going to make a difference either way. John, what would be the point? You're losing me here, kid. Dominic, the point was that somebody had made a statement that where they hung out, simple as that. I mean, I already knew that the place had been searched. 3 times prior, EquiSearch, I believe it was three times prior, so I knew there was nothing there anyway. On November, then John says, how did you know this particular location had been searched? How? On November, you said that you knew that this place had been kind of ruled out by Texas EquiSearch. How did you know this particular spot had been ruled out? What particular spot, says Dominic? The spot where you were going to, says John, right there where the pavers were. Dominic says, there wasn't a particular spot that I was trying to rule out. You're confusing me here. I'm not being like, what are you saying here? John says, all right. Nick Savage says, I think we're all actually confused. John says, confused, yeah. Nick says, yeah. Jay says, we're all confused because you say that you went there to rule that spot out, whether or not it was a childhood or a teen hangout, okay? Dominic, okay, that's correct. John, but you also said that if you got there and it was a teenager hangout, it wouldn't have mattered if it was or wasn't a teenager hangout. You were just trying to determine that for... That's correct, says Dominic. For what? For no reason? Come on, man. You're wasting our time here. Dominic says it was for a reason of eliminating that part of the statement, saying, okay, what she said was correct. Okay, says John. Dominic says that was the only purpose. John says, and then, but you've also said that you knew that location had been ruled out as a possible location for Caylee, and you said that... Dominic, no, sir, I did not say that. I did not say it had been ruled out. Stop putting words in my mouth. John, okay. Dominic. Ruled out. That's your words. Keep 'em out of my mouth. John. Okay. Dominic. What I said was that it had been. John. Searched? Dominic. Searched. John. Okay. Dominic. I knew the area had been searched prior. John. Okay. Dominic. So. Nick Savage from the FBI. I think you said 3 times. Is that accurate as well? John. And then you said you knew she wasn't there. Dominic. To my understanding, from what I had heard through all the whatever, oh boy, it had been, that area had been searched by EquiSearch and others or whoever. Nick Savage. So, as you were going there, what was Jim Hoover led to believe you guys were doing by driving there first? I told I told Jim Hoover that I had received a tip and that there was a possible location for Caylee Marie in those woods. That's exactly what I told him, and I said, I don't want to talk about it. Just leave it at that. Nick Savage. So obviously it would imply that it was her remains. Is that accurate? That's correct, says Dominic. Well, Nick Savage says so. Dominic says it would not be a live Caylee Marie. Nick says, so if Hoover believed you guys were going there to look for her remains, Caylee Anthony would be correct. Dominic, that would be correct. Nick, okay, but you didn't tell him exactly how you came across this information. Dominic, I told him. I have just received a tip. Okay, says Nick. What else do you talk about on the way down? Dominic says, I just said, I hope this is not. I know what's been searched, and I said, I just hope this is not something I want to do. I don't want to go in there. I don't want to see anything. I just don't want to do this. Nick Savage. So when you got in there, you provided instructions to Hoover. What were those instructions? Dominic. We went ahead, we got out of the vehicle, and I said, I'm just going to go. And I said, you stay here, and I'm going to go walking after midnight. Okay. And see what I can find and whatever I see. Nick Savage, FBI. Did you ask him to videotape? No, I did not, said Dominic. Did he ask you if he could videotape? No, he did not, says Dominic. So are you surprised? To learn that at some point in time that this occurrence was in fact videotaped? Dominic says, I'll tell you what, I was inside the woods. I was standing there and I turned around and there was, he was as far as, that wall, which should be about 15 feet, and he's standing there with like a video camera. And I said, what the hell are you doing? And he said, oh, I just thought I'd tape, and I have my video camera with me, and I thought I'd tape so you have a tape, you know? Okay, says Nick. John says, so we could expect to find that comment on the videotape. You telling him that? What the hell are you doing? That should be on the videotape if you turned around, right? On the videotape? Dominic, it should be something like that. I'm like, Jim, what are you doing with the videotape? John says, but that's my point. And you're saying to us that while he was videotaping you, you turned around and you said to him, what the hell are you doing? Dominic, I made a comment to him about, so, says John. Dominic, videotape, because I didn't know that he was videotaping me. J.A., so we should find that on the videotape. Dominic says, you should. Okay, says John. Dominic says, well, I had my still camera with me. I was taking pictures of what I was seeing. John says, but we're going to verify that what you're saying, and you're saying that at a certain time that you turned around, you said to him, what the hell are you doing, while he's videotaping you? Dominic says, words to that effect, yes, of what he said. John, okay, Dominic, turned around, and I was shocked that he was standing there with a video camera. John. Okay. Dominic. I did not know. I didn't ask him to use a video camera in any way, shape, or form. I didn't even know that he had it. I didn't even know he was there. And this was the first, this was the first when you were at the, when you got there, that's correct. This would be the first when you got there, and the site, you were on Suburban. Dominic. What would have been? John. That you made this comment. This would have been when I was in the woods, when I was either walked in, that's Dominic. Nick Savage. Well, how long has transpired from the time you got there until the time you made this statement regarding the video camera? I'm just guesstimating, says Dominic. I'm going to have to say, like, there were 2. We weren't there any longer. To the best of our recollection, 30 minutes, maybe 40. All right, says J.A. Dominic says, so it had to be somewhere with a 30-minute period or whatever. John, okay, so there may have been videotaping you upwards to 30 minutes before you noticed that you were in fact being videotaped? There's a possibility, says Dom. Nick Savage says, would that be a fair assessment? Yes, that's a possibility. Yes, it is very possible. Yes. Were you making any phone calls at the time? I came out of the woods. No. In the woods. No. Dominic says. Then Nick Savage says, while you were on the scene? Okay. Now we have Dominic. Okay. In the street I called Jeanette Lucas. I'm sorry. Nick Savage. Now I heard somewhere that you may have been talking to your sick daughter at this time. Jeanette. That would... This is the person that's... What am I looking for? Nick Savage. That would be correct. That would be correct. Nick Savage, so you called a lot. Dominic, no, I did not. Nick Savage, Lucas, but so you have spoken to more than one person then? And then we have Dominic. I spoke to 2 people. Nick, okay. While you were on the scene, Nick says, and that would have been your sick daughter and Lucas? That's correct, says Dominic. No one else, says Nick. Nobody else, says Dominic. How many times did you talk to Lucas when you were on scene? Dominic says 2, maybe 3 times. Nick, did you call her or did she call you? Dominic, I called her and said, I haven't seen anything, so I just... There's nothing here. That's all I want to say is trash and water. And she said, you're in the right location. That is what I'm seeing. And then Nick said, and you didn't ask Hoover for his help or maybe help locate where you might have been looking for? And then Dominic says, I may have made a comment to him about there being 3 concrete blocks. You can see the 3 concrete blocks when he was in the woods. Nick, so at any point, did he get into the woods? Hold on a minute. I have to get a tea. Sorry. I have to get a tea. And, because otherwise I'm going to fall asleep. I'm going to get a hot tea. And... Boy, you guys are very quiet in the chat here. Hang on, I'm going to get a tea. I'll be right there. I'll be right there. I'll be right there. Oh, shoot. What's up with this? What's up with this? I'm here, never fear. I'm here. Hold on, I'm almost done. Almost done with my tea. Hold on a second, I better get my honey. Who's that? Oh. Oh no. Oh boy. Okay. I'm coming now. Hold on. Hold on, I gotta clean the honey jar. Back. All right. Where's our thing? Oh, here it is. Okay. All right, so where were we? We're going to start here. I may have made a comment to him about there being 3 concrete blocks. Dominic says this. You could see the 3 concrete blocks while he was in the woods. Nick, so at what point did he get in the woods? Dominic, after I realized that he was there with his video camera. Okay, says Nick. Dominic says, so that could have been 15, 20, 30. I'm not sure. Well, I wasn't in there that long, though. Nick, 20 minutes is a long time. Yeah, says Dominic. I mean, I'm just guesstimating. So, John, all right. Did at some point you guys were in this little wooded area with the blocks where you moved to a house? You moved to an abandoned house. Dominic, across the street. John, how'd you all get there? Dominic, Jeanette, she said, look for the fence. So I said, okay, there's a chain link fence right across. And she said, do you see any water? And I said, I see some water. There's a retention pond. And she's like, what else do you see? and tell me what you see. And I said, okay, I see a pop-up. John, did you guys walk there, or did you get back in his car? Dominic, back in his car, because this is the next street across. John, okay. Dominic, that's the only way you can get there? Right, says John. Okay. Did he videotape there? Dominic, to my knowledge, no. John, okay, so he wouldn't have, there's been nothing on that videotape that with him standing right there by you while, taping you digging with a small garden tool. We won't find anything like that on there, right? Dominic, I'm not saying that you wouldn't. It's highly possible, okay? He's a sneaky devil. John, he's a sneaky devil? Dominic, John, what? Dominic, there's something on the videotape. Well, John, but if he did it, it would have been, Dominic, I would, John, you wouldn't have known it? Excuse me? Says Dominic. John says, if he did do that, you wouldn't have known that? Dominic, I would not have known that. John, okay, so he probably would have been at some considerable distance. He would have been far enough away where you couldn't have seen him videotaping you, right? He would have certainly have been right up there with you, standing right next to you while this is going on. He'd have some distance away for you to not have known it. Dominic, I wouldn't necessarily say that. He was no further away. He was probably as far away as you are, or maybe a little. I don't know, maybe another 2-3 feet. John, are you seriously going to sit here and tell me with a straight face that I could stand this close to you and videotape you, and you wouldn't know that? Come on. Dominic, I've seen him on Hope Spring with protesters with his videotape, and he had this thing here under his jacket. He's a sneaky guy. John, okay. Dominic, and he could have been standing there, and I've been like, what you got? And he's just like, oh, just looking at those people there. John, okay. So if he videotaped you at the house, he would have had that videotape somewhere in his coat, you're saying? Like, he wouldn't have been standing right up there like this? Because I certainly don't think I could stand this close to you with a video camera up here pointing it at you without you at least seeing me. Dominic, to my recollection, I did not see him with a video camera, okay? Stop. To my recollection, there was no tape in there. Hey, Billy boy, how are you? Well, how long were you at that house, says Nick. And what were you doing while you were there? Dominic, I walked in, and the purpose was, it wasn't the house. It was to look at that culvert. Nick Savage, okay, so you didn't look at anything around the house, Yeah, okay. Dominic says, yeah, we walked to a fence, and there's like a fence there, and I looked there. You could see a culvert, and it's like an overflow thing, comes out of the retention pond. John, so you were looking around the retention pond now, huh? Dominic, through the fence. Didn't actually go over the fence to the retention pond. We're just looking through it. I could see this. John, but that's where... Dominic, inside. John, but the psychic told you that she was by the culvert. So you looked over there. You didn't look by the house. You looked where the psychic told you. Isn't that accurate? Dominic, that's correct. John, okay. Dominic, that's correct. Okay, I said. Not deaf. Dominic said, and then coming out of the yard, says John. Dominic says, walking out of the yard, I saw, well, there's like this flatbed trailer in there, and there's all kinds of appliances and trash and just kind of like what I walked around just to see if there was anything disturbed or anything. There was nothing that didn't appear like anybody had been there in forever, like it was very well overgrown, okay? Coming back out of the side of the house, I looked. I saw no 1, 2, 3. I believe it was 3. It might have been 4. It could have been 4. It might have been 3. Could have been 4. But I believe it was 3. I said, shoot! Here's 3 more pavers. Concrete blocks. John says, mm-hmm. So Dominic says, so I went over there, I went over there and I turned those pavers over and I went in and I pulled some of the dirt back, okay? That's what I did. I went look and it was all clean. There was nothing there. J.A. Okay, so Nick. So what'd you do after all that? Dominic. After all that, I just scraped it back. I left the house. Came out in the front, little sand spurs, pulled them off, got in the truck, drove to the hotel. I had breakfast with Michelle. John, okay. Did you guys ever discuss on the way to having breakfast with Michelle, did you ever discuss, you and Hoover discuss what had taken place there? I mean, did you say to him on the way, well, I'm glad, but gosh, I'm glad we didn't find her, I mean, we got that out of the way. Or was there a discussion about that? Or did he say that? Or was there a discussion between the two of you? Like, wow, you know what? I'm talking about this Saturday, that you guys went there. Dominic, he kept saying to me, he was saying things like, wow, that's very specific that these concrete blocks are there. John, Dominic, so, yeah. Okay, it is. And he said he was making a comment about it. And I was like, yeah, okay. I said it is. And I was freaked out. I was freaking out, I tell you. John says, you were freaked out because of the pavers? Dominic, yeah, yes. And I've got somebody at a distance that's up in Virginia telling me that there's look for, John, right, something. And Dominic says, John says, were you guys were you relieved when you had gone there and you searched and it was over with? Dominic, I was relieved that I did not see or find anything. John, okay. Dominic, I was totally relieved at that. I said to James, I'm going to come back tomorrow morning. John, okay. I said, I'm going to come back tomorrow morning, and I'm going to go back over there to Suburban. And that's what I'm going to do. John, did you go back? Well, yes, I did. I always keep my word. Okay. What did you do when you went back? Dominic said, the next morning. John said, now were you by yourself? Dominic said, no. James. James said, well, if you'd like me to come with you. And I said, okay, yeah, let's go. It'll be fun. Maybe we go out for breakfast later. I don't know, whatever. But I'm not going to, I don't know. We'll see how late it is. John says, okay. Dominic says, I said, I'm going to go there early in the morning. John says, did he, like 7 or 8, says Dominic. John says, did you guys drive down together? How did you do it? How'd you all get there the next morning? Dominic says, well, the same way. He met me in my office in the parking lot. John says, you weren't upset with him? You let him go again the next day? You weren't upset with him on the videotaping? No, I wasn't upset about that, okay? I'm not a real angry guy. That's not going to be good for my health. I didn't think... John says, why? What? Dominic says, okay, I was upset that he videotaped me without my permission. Okay, says John. Dominic says, yeah. Number 1, yeah. Okay. John says, but why did you take him back the second day? Obviously he videotaped you. You clearly didn't want him videotaping you without your permission. He's a sneaky guy. He snuck. This guy is kind of a sneaky way. Why would you take him back, this sneaky guy? Dominic said, I didn't see it as it. He offered to come the next day with me, okay? I'm a nice guy. Fire me for that. John said, all right. Dominic said, and? Nick said, and why did he believe he was coming? What did he think he was going back to look for? Dominic said, why? Why would he think? Nick's like, yeah, why? Why did you have to go back and look a second time? Why? Dominic said, because I saw the pavers that Jeanette had said. So I said, look, I want to go back. I want to go back, walk through there. I want to walk distances around and just see. I just want to see the area. Okay, Nick says, so it was solely for that purpose and not because it might have been a teenage hangout or anything like that. It was for the... Nick, purpose of... Dominic says, at that particular time, okay, then it became okay. I've got to eliminate that there. There is nothing, anything here like this lady is telling me. Nick says, so let me ask you this. Obviously, you felt compelled to be out there a second time. Correct, says Dominic. Nick says, did you notify anybody in this room that... Dominic says, no, sir, I did not. Okay, why, says Nick. Oh my gosh, says Dominic, because there is nothing there, and that it was part... Nick, but you went back and looked a second time. Obviously, you felt there might be something there. Dominic, no, I didn't feel as though there was something there. And so, why'd you go back? Exactly, why'd you go back? You're sounding like a liar to me. Dominic, just to get that set in my mind, okay? That I was comfortable that there wasn't. Simple as that. Stop making this a much bigger deal. Nick says, so, who'd you tell about this little incident? Dominic, who'd I tell about this initial incident? What? Nick says, the initial tip and the fact that you may have been there and that you either corroborated something or ruled out something. Dominic, the only person I spoke to was Jim Hoover. James freaking Hoover. That's the only person. Nick, so there was no mention to anybody during the meet and greet, during this greeting thing? No, absolutely not, says Dominic. Nick, so then you decided on your own to go back the next day, the next morning. Why, yes, I did. I can make up my own mind. I'm a big boy. Nick, to help clarify whatever issues, just to... Nick, you may have had it in your mind. Oh my gosh, Dominic. Just to get a comfort level. I wanted a comfort level because I didn't sleep that night, okay? In the Saturday night, I was extremely upset. I was tossing and turning. The mattress was hard. I couldn't get to sleep. I was going crazy, and I was worried to death that, J.A., that what? Dominic says, maybe there's a little girl out there. I was like, in my mind, I had said in my mind that, something might have been overlooked in the prior searches, and I needed to rule it out. If Caylee Marie is there, she needs to be found in a respectful manner. And so, I need to look around and make sure that she's not. Nick, now at the time you were also forwarding tips through us regarding sightings. Is that right? Yeah, that's correct. Dominic says. Nick says, okay, well, but not regarding Dominic. No, John. How many? No, Dominic says. John, hold on, okay? You hold on now. Oh, you let me ask you this. This really freaked you out, right? Right? You were freaked out. You were freaking out, losing your mind. Couldn't sleep. Daisy says, this person? John says, the sighting, the tip from the psychic, okay? Did you ever, during the entire time you were looking for Caylee Marie, did you ever get any tips from other psychics, or was this the only psychic you spoke to? Were you psychic exclusive? Dominic says, no, I was not. She was not the only psychic. John says, what did you do with the other psychics, their tips? Dominic says, one of them called me from El Paso, Texas. Okay, says John. And she had a weird dream, okay? And it sounded off. She sounded off the wall, okay? So, John says, you talked? Yeah, and to two psychics. No, okay? I said, one called me from El Paso. I listened to her, okay? She started talking on the phone as though she was Caylee Marie. John, okay. John, I'm going to ask you the question. Maybe another way is easier for you to understand, okay? During the course of the investigation, yes, says Dominic, your search for Caylee Marie, I want to know how many psychics did you talk to? Maybe a half a dozen. Whoa, John says, so about 6, okay? Was that over the entire time you talked to 6 psychics? Correct, says Dominic. And just how many of those did you follow up on? 1. Only 1. Yes. Was there a reason you didn't follow up on the other 5? Dominic, I had somebody on the phone talking to me like she was Caylee Marie, okay? She whacked out of her head. John, all of the other 5 you talked to said they were Caylee Marie? No. One of them said that. Another one called me. She said, you need to notify law enforcement. I believe she was from Kentucky. And then, you need to notify law enforcement that I know where Caylee Marie is. And I said, okay, tell me where that may be. And she's like, oh, she's in the gas tank of the car, the Pontiac. John says, okay. Dominic says, so I said, yeah, okay, yeah, I'll certainly keep that in mind. Thank you so much for your call. John says, okay, so that's 3. What about the other 3? Dominic, I'm not saying specifically there's 6, so let's just clarify that. John, okay. Dominic, I'm saying about Dominic, about a half a dozen. John, all right, well, we're trying to figure out this, okay? Dominic says, they were just freaky, John, okay? They were not credible. Okay, says John. Dominic says they didn't seem like credible people. I mean, John said, so this one, okay? So, Dominic says, somebody telling me that? John, okay. Dominic says, someone's telling me to look inside the... John, all right. Gas tank of a car, John. Okay. John says, just so we're not confused, you talked to about 6 psychics. It could have been 5, could have been 7, but around 6, but maybe 4, more than 3, less than 4, not less than 4, but less than 7 could be, but maybe around 6. Dominic says, over a 6-month period. John says, okay. Dominic says, period. Okay, says John. 5 of them you found not to be credible. You didn't follow up on those. That's correct, John, says Dominic. John says, 1 of them you found to be credible. You followed up on that. Dominic, no, I did not. John, you didn't follow up on that? Dominic, yes, I did. Follow up on it. I followed it up on it, as much as I was going to. Out there. I went out there for a specific purpose. I already had planned to go out there, and the call came in. John, okay. Dominic, so that's what we call coincidental, okay? Okay, you can call it, I don't know, maybe she was reading my mind, but it freaked me out, okay? And I'm going out there on that particular day. John, Dominic, and it's John, yeah. You found it. Dominic, Dominic, I almost did not. I tried to stop myself from going because of receiving the call. I didn't want to go there. John, okay, oh boy, you got the call. At that point, you tried to stop yourself from going out there, follow up on that the Caylee Marie information. Is that right? But then you went anyway. Dominic, I said to myself, okay? I said, listen, Dominic, you don't need to go out there. You don't always have to do everything that comes in your head. That is just too upsetting. John says, okay. Dominic says, and then it's no, I gotta go out there. I have to. So I went. John, okay. And you found the information credible enough that you went back for a second time. Is that correct? Yes or no? I want to make sure I'm not messing any of this up. Dominic, no. Let me. John, did you go back a second day? Yes or no? I'm tired of these games. Dominic, no. You let me clear this up. You keep saying that I found the information credible. I didn't. I did not rely on the information to be credible. I didn't rely on anything. Okay? On anything. I already told you. Okay? I was being told anything that I was being told was credible. What I relied on was when the lady had said to me about the concrete pavers. Says John. That stuck in my mind. I thought, how would she know about these concrete pavers? Nick Savage, that stuck in your mind as being credible? Oh my gosh, no, it stuck in my mind. How is somebody in Virginia? I'm from freaking Orlando, Florida, okay? How is somebody in freaking Virginia going to know about concrete pavers sitting in the woods? It's like, I got to rule this thing out. I've got to get to a comfort level where I'm comfortable. If Caylee Marie is there, John, okay, all right. So you did go back a second day. Is that what you're saying? Yes, Dominic says. John says, okay. Well, what? You went back the second day because of the pavers. Dominic, oh my gosh, I went back. The sole purpose of the second day was to get to my own comfort level. Okay? I wanted to be comfortable that there was nothing there. John. Okay, all right. Nick. And James? James volunteered to go with you? Dominic. James. I told James. I said, when we left on the meet and greet, we were headed home. And I said, hey, James, hey, what you doing? I said, why don't, he was there, he was talking about it. And I was like, hey, are you going to go back there or whatever? And I'm like, I don't think so or whatever. And then by the time we got back to the office, the parking lot, I said, you know what? Hey, listen, James, I'm going to have to go back out there just to get to a comfort level. I'm not feeling that comfort level because if there's something out there and I've overlooked it, I just need to get it for my own peace of mind. I have to take another look. He said, you want me to come and look with you? I said, yeah. You know what? I'd appreciate that. John. All right. Why, though? Why did you, given the fact, okay, that these sighting tips were forwarded to us, why didn't you just forward this information to us, the police, the investigators, the FBI, okay? Why would you tell me about this, in the woods, in the school? Dominic, absolutely nothing panned out about it. Okay, John says. Nick Savage says, what time did you arrive on? And then Dominic says, it didn't. Nick says, what time did you arrive on the scene the second time? I mean, you made mention that you were going and you met Hoover again at your office, okay? And you guys drove down there. What time did you get there? Dominic. Whew. Nick, now I'm going to tell you, this is going to be a guesstimation, okay? I'm going to say it'd be 8, 9, somewhere within that range. Nick, did you call Lucas? Did you call Lucas and tell her you were going back? No, I did not, says Dominic. Nick, so how were you and Hoover? How long were you and Hoover going there for the second time? Dominic, I want to say it wouldn't have been more than 15, 20 minutes. Nick, was there any videos or photographs of that? Not to my knowledge, says Dominic. Not to my knowledge. Nick, so if there were photographs and if there were videotapes, Dominic, I still have the still photos, what I took. Okay, says Nick. But what was the first day or the second day? Dominic, I'd have to look at the date, okay? I think it was the first day, Nick. I believe it was the first day. Nick, so you're either unaware or I guess then you'd be unaware if there was a video or still images on the second time. Dominic, Now you're asking me to think back, and very factually, I'm going to say that I'm not sure that I took photographs the first or the second day. So let me just put that out there, okay? Put that in your pipe and smoke it. That's what I'm telling you. Stop it. I've really had enough. Nick. Okay. Dominic. That way. Nick. All right. So I did take photographs, all right? Nick. Okay. Dominic. As far as the photographs, it was what? It was about 9 or 12. Yeah, says B. About 9 or 10. John. All right. Dominic. 9 or 10. John. I want to just cover this for the record. Who are you contracted to work for? Oh, man, says Dominic. I have a letter of engagement with the Anthonys, you know? George and Cynthia, Anthony. John. George and Cindy? Dominic. And I have a letter of engagement with Casey Anthony. John. Okay, how long you've had a letter of engagement with George and Cindy? Dominic. I've had to look at the dates, but... John. Can you guess? I mean, is it recent? I mean, how long? BC, you want the dates? John. Yeah, I'd like to have the dates. Dominic. I think it goes back to October. Oh, okay. October's fine, says J.A. Dominic says, no. Now let's, John. Okay. Dominic says, no. Let's get it right. All right, says John. Dominic says, let's get it right. I don't want to get it wrong here, okay? It was when I terminated my services with Baez. I entered into a letter of engagement with the Anthonys. Okay, says Nick. Prior to that, says Dominic, I was providing services to the Anthonys. John. Prior to the, what are you, at some point, were you contracted to Jose Baez? Yes, sir. Okay, and you were terminated this contract with him? I terminated it, says Dominic. John. Okay, and, oh shoot, oh my gosh. I just dropped my keyboard. Hold on a minute. Oh my goodness, that scared me. I almost dropped my tea, too. Hold on. I gotta pick up the keyboard. That was scary. Hang on. Oh my goodness, that was nuts. It's falling off my desk here, and I wasn't paying attention. I have this big, giant pad that goes on my desk, and the whole pad moved forward to my poor keyboard. Oh my goodness. Hold on a minute. It's got a little T on it, but it's waterproof, so it's okay. Just hold on a minute. I've got to get this cleaned up here. See what you guys do here? What did I go through? Okay. Oh, that was scary. Now I gotta get my tea right here because I have to drink my tea. I'm gonna drink some of my tea here because I'm trying not to have any pauses. Hi, Matt. Okay. Let's go. And please hit the likes. Thank you. Alrighty. Did we? Okay. Terminated the contract, but I'd already been working with George and Cindy prior to that. John says okay. Dominic says throughout this whole period of time. Okay. Then let's just go here. Nick says, for the record, the information that we're talking about does not relate to any information that Casey Anthony provided to you. So what we're discussing is not information that Casey provided, so you would work on that behalf. Is that correct? Dominic, that's correct. Nick, so you were doing this on behalf of the Anthonys. Would that be accurate or correct? John, what services were you engaged to contract to George and Cindy? What were you doing for them? Dominic, to investigate the circumstances regarding the disappearance of Caylee Marie Anthony. John, okay. How about for Casey Anthony? Dominic, to investigate the circumstances surrounding the disappearance of Caylee Marie Anthony. John, okay. Dominic, I believe their letters of engagement say. John, okay. So and then when do you recall the date that you engaged in a contract with Casey? All right, September the 12th. Dominic, that's the Anthony's, July 29th. Okay, so you have one with George and Cindy dated July 29th? No. Jose Baez, July 29th. John, okay, July 29th, Jose Baez. When did you terminate with Jose Baez? The termination, Dominic says, was October the 1st, the effective date. In fact, here it is. There you go. It was October the 6th. You're wrong, Dominic. Oh, no. John, all right, just... No. Just no. Hold on a minute. Get this right. Gosh darn it, what the hell is wrong with you? BC, October 1st? Dominic, October 1st. October 1st it was terminated. That was the effective date of the term. That I terminated D&A investigations terminated. Services effective October 1st with the Baez Law Firm. John, okay. But and on September the 12th, you did engage in an agreement with Casey Anthony. Is that correct? Dominic, that is correct. John, are you still working for Casey? Have you terminated? That is not terminated, says Dominic. Okay, says John. Dominic says, that is just still in full force and effect. All right, says John. Well, let me ask you this. So, were you engaged in a contract with Casey Anthony on December the 9th? Dominic, December the 9th? John, yes, sir. Dominic, no. The last time I saw... John, no, I'm... Dominic, no. John, were you engaged? Were you? Well, this is dated September the 12th, 2008. Dominic, that is correct. John, that's an agreement you have to work for Casey. That's correct, says Dominic. Correct. Says John, you have not terminated it, correct? No, sir, I have not, says Dominic. So, on December 9th, which is subsequent to September 12th, says John. 2008, says John. Were you working for Casey Anthony? Dominic, I am. Still in. Yes. All right, says John. That's important because I have an email here from you, and you know what? There's been some talk about people getting to other people, into other people's email accounts and sending emails. And I have an email, okay? I'm going to tell you. Appears to be from you. It's dated December the 9th, and it says right here. Well, I'll let you read it, okay? It says that you are working for George and Cindy. That is correct, says Dominic. Okay, it also says that is correct. John says, all right, for the sole purpose of finding Caylee Marie, John DNA investigations do work disclosed of and are not connected, nor does DNA investigations have any kind of services to the defense team. That is correct, says Dominic. Okay, so tell me what's somewhat confusing. You say that you're working for George and Cindy, but you're also working for Casey, and Casey charged Dominic. Let me clarify this for you, John, okay? Oh, okay, yeah, Dominic, that would be good. Why don't you take care of that right now? Dominic says, all right, I have not spoken. I have not seen Casey since that would be Sunday, October the 12th. John says, did you send me this new email? Yes, I did. John says, okay. So nobody else got into your email account and sent this, right? You sent this. You got on your computer and you sent this to me as it reads here, right? Correct? I sent that email? I'm asking you, did you? John says, read the email and tell me if you sent this frickin' email. What is so hard? Dominic, I did send you that email. Okay, thank you. All right. Dominic. And as effective the October the 12th is the last conversation, whatever that I had with Casey Anthony, I've not provided any services from that day forward. Okay. And exclusively from that date of only providing services to George and Cindy Anthony. John. All right. Jose Baez. Dominic says, went ahead, blocked any contact. He blocked me on everything. As far as I'm concerned, that was in effect. And then there's been no services provided. John, who decided? Who decided the tips that were sent to us, these citing tips that you're following up on? Who decided? Who? Whether they get sent? Who decided what tips that you got and worked on were forwarded to the police? 99% of the tips the DA's investigations received, John, says Dominic. John says, Dominic says, Caylee's tip line, okay? People sending in tips to the Anthony family, Dominic, and that would be forwarded it to me. John, but my question to you is this, Dominic. Who decided which of those tips got forwarded to us? Somebody made a decision that one of them should go to the police. Boy, this is crazy. This one should not. So this one should go to the police. This one should not. Dominic, all credible tips were forwarded. John, okay. Who determined that? Dominic, it was joint. John, it was a joint. John, who joined? John, in this decision, who collectively made this decision? Dominic, that would be George, Cindy, and myself. And why do you sound like an owl? John, okay. So you and George decided which information should be sent to us and which should not. How did you make that decision? What criteria did you use? How did you sit down and decide, well, this we're going to send to the cops, this we're not? Obviously, the one where there's, we got information about a dead Caylee being on Suburban Drive. Somebody made the decision, well, we're not sending that one to the police, but we're going to send these. How did you guys, there must have been some criteria that you used to reach that decision. What would that criteria be? Dominic. The criteria would be, when a tip came in, it's not automatically call law enforcement and say we received a tip. I think would drive you crazy, okay, if we called you. I understand that, says John, but what I'm trying to figure out with you guys, okay? I'm trying to figure out which ones you should send, which ones, you didn't. You didn't randomly do this. There was somehow you looked at them and you decided which ones you should send and which ones you should not. Dominic, well, we would look so far in a tip, and if it appeared credible and there was something to it, then wow. John, okay. Dominic, that would be forwarded directly to you, John. But how did you determine which ones were credible? This guy is dense. Dominic, well, we go to Florida Mall, for example, the Florida Mall tip, and I can't. We got that directly. I A tipster came from the mall. Helena called the mall and called and left a voicemail on our office phone. I returned it to her. I called them up, and they said they believed they saw Caylee Marie Anthony at the Florida Mall, and she had photographs. And then, it was then on the phone with a BlackBerry, whatever you call it. I'm familiar with the tip, okay? I'm familiar with it. How did you determine? I mean, in other words, somebody sit down, look at the tip, obviously? Uh-huh. She was supposed to have been seen down there, okay? Somebody must have looked at it and said, this is good, credible tip, or it's not. And obviously you guys decided it is. So somebody go down there and look. The kidnappers must have decided today was a good day to take Caylee to the mall and let her go in the mall in Orlando and hang out in the playground. How y'all reach that decision? What kind of things? Dominic, how can I respond to theorizing when you're saying about kidnappers? I'm not saying about kidnappers. John, John, you're right, but Dominic, let's just say, as far as the Florida Mall goes, I went out. I met with the tipster. The tipster had these photographs. We got the photographs, looked at the photographs, got the photographs to the Anthonys. Let me see the photographs. And there's a distinct resemblance to Caylee Marie. John, okay, I understand all that. When I'm asking you, Dominic, so at that particular point, okay, we forward it to you. We determine there's credibility. What don't you understand? John, but you must have decided at some point, how would Caylee have gotten to the mall? You said, and I'm concluding there's kidnappers. Caylee wouldn't have been 3 at the time. How would she get to the mall? She couldn't have gotten herself to the mall. How did you look at that? What was going through your mind when you decided that somehow it seems like Caylee must have gotten taken to the mall? Come on, here in Orlando, how did you reach that? What the hell? What information made that credible? The tipster, Dominic said that the person that she believed to be Caylee Marie was a lady. She was with a female, a woman, okay? Spanish origin, appeared to be Spanish. Or did she's in fact, I believe the tipster said she only spoke Spanish, so she took photographs, and there were 2 tipsters. There was another little girl. She came up. They both work at the mall, same store. She believed she went ahead. She was the first one to call the tip line. I don't know, it was crime line, whatever the heck it was, but she called. Okay, John says. She called law enforcement. So that's when they began calling law enforcement, okay? They weren't getting through to anybody, the right number, whatever. So one of the tipsters, okay, called her husband. Said, look online, okay? Where do I call? Dominic, okay. Caylee Marie, John. Now we're getting away from the question I asked, okay? Okay. John, and what I'd like is the criteria that you use to decide what information is credible, not a recap of who called you, okay? When you looked at this information and someone looked at this and you decided that collectively decided this is credible, that this could have been, they could have been there. And I'm asking you one information. How did you reach that conclusion? Did you think, were you thinking, well, somebody took her to the mall and let her into the playground, or did you think she got there herself? How did you reach that conclusion? Dominic, John, you're like theorizing here. Let me, John, okay. Dominic, let me just say this. I saw the picture. Okay? To me, I said to myself, this looks like Caylee Marie. Am I 100% certain it's Caylee Marie? No. Let me get these pictures to George and Cindy. They look at the pictures. And it's like, it's a possibility. It's a possibility. Was it 100% certainty? No. With there being a possibility, and we have all determined that looking at it, They were forwarded. Okay. John Allen and to Nick Savage. Okay, I guess the bottom line here is, so that was that was how the criteria was done. If you're looking at something and it's credible or not credible. Was it up to you alone, or did Baez? I mean, I never spoke to Baez, so Baez had no. So I guess what I'm trying to determine, and obviously I don't know, you're going to be able to answer this for me. Dominic, sure. John, is it, did you know what criteria, what factors did you use to decide which tips were credible, which were not? That's the question that I've been trying to ask. I mean, does it make sense or no? Yes, it makes very good sense, says Dominic. John, okay, did you guys have criteria as to how you made these decisions? Each tip was treated independently, Dominic said. Okay, so what's up? What's up, you guys? What's going on? What are you guys doing? So let's see. Because I don't know what's going on. So, okay, let's do this. Let's take a poll. Okay, please vote, please. Should we stop covering the Casey Anthony case? Where is everybody? Where the heck are you guys? If you're in the chat, can you put up a 1? Put up a 1 in the chat if you're there. All right, we'll do word cookies and we'll do it good night. People had said they wanted to watch a movie, I guess. Oh, there's Twisted. Hi. I think it's just you and me, Twisted. Hi, Val. I'm here. Uh-oh, Binky is in the true crime chat. Binky is in the true crime chat. Carolyn, I'm here. Where the frick are you all, guys? We'll see what the poll says. The poll says 100% of you don't want to do the Casey Anthony case anymore, so I will find something else to do. Let's see. Thank you, Val. I'm feeling very unloved. You're the 1%? I don't know. It says 100% said no. It says 3 votes and 100% said stop covering it. Mailing? Oh, mailing. Yeah, that's a good one. Mailing. Very good. Oh, shoot. Mailing. All right, let's see. AIM, right? What about... Okay.
Carolyn, I don't know what happened. I can't
Oh my gosh, Ben,
see the
scared,
chat.
you
I
scared
can't
the
find
crap.
it.
You scared the crap out of me. Oh my gosh, Jen did that to me the other night too. She just came on talking. I'm like, what the hell? What happened?
I was trying to push all these buttons. I'm in the crime chat or something you said.
You're in the
I can't
Zoom.
find nobody. I can't find the chat.
You're not in the. You're not in the
I don't know what the
YouTube.
heck.
Hi there, Hammer Hat, Hammer Chat, Hammer Hatch, Hammer
Oh,
Hatch.
that's why.
Why do I know that Hammer
Hammer
Hatch
chat.
name? I know Hammer Hatch. You used to be hammering around here a long time ago, right, Hammer Hatch? I'm having major deja vu, Hammer Hatch. That's so weird. Were you around here a few days ago? But you used to be around here a long time ago. Hammer Hatch. I saw you somewhere else recently. I'm having major DMV. Oh my god. Deja vu. I'm having major deja vu with Hammer Hatch.
DMV.
Why am I having such deja vu with Hammer Hatch? Hammer Hatch?
Let's see.
Were you here
What,
the other day?
what rhymes with that?
Hammer Hatch. Hammer Hatch. Nag. Yeah, got that. Hammer Hatch. Okay, let's see. We're going to check that boat thing and see if there's any updates after we get this done.
Okay, I gotta leave and go there then.
Oh, you're going to go to the chat?
Yes, I could vote.
Are you going to find your way?
I'm gonna leave this meeting and I think I'll show up over there.
Oh, I hope
I better
so.
just stay put.
Yeah.
Vote me in. I'm just staying here.
Okay. Did you eat? Did
Who
you eat
knows
your?
where I'll go?
Did you eat the beans?
Yeah, they were good.
Okay.
And the cornbread.
Oh, cornbread.
Yeah. Made way too many beans though. We'll be eating beans for a while.
Huh.
Suffer.
And when are you planning to go to Tennessee?
On the 5th, of December.
Oh, 5th of December. Hammer Hatch. I've been around for a long time with your community. Yeah, but Hammer Hatch. But I remember something happening recently, Hammer Hatch. Did you come into a chat recently? And we said, oh, that's Hammer Hatch. I remember Hammer Hatch. Please tell me something. Even if it didn't, just tell me it did, because I'm thinking I've major deja vu right now. I'm freaking out. Okay? Just say Hammer Hatch.
Hammer time.
Yeah, Hammer time. Just say, yeah. Okay? Yeah. That sounds familiar.
Yeah,
That's all you have to say, okay? You're leaving, Val? Why? It's not nice. Where are you going, Val?
How'd everybody sneak out?
I don't know. You know what it is? It's crazy. And Scooter never came in. We're gonna have to get rid of her. She's
I'm
non-reliable.
gonna have to rename my cat.
I know, she's non-reliable. Call the cat Mr. Unreliable. Or is it a Mrs.?
It's a Mrs.
Okay, what is it? Airy is fine too? Let me see what you said. Airy is fine too. That's my hatch. That's my name. Oh. Oh, you were saying night to Hammer Hatch. I remember you like a long time ago, but you came in recently though, right? I saw it because I remember. Now I'm freaking out. Please just tell me I'm right. I'm feeling really crazy
Well, if
right
they
now.
don't remember, I remember.
Hammer Hatch. I remember Hammer Hatch from like Watts days, right? What is the this? I need. Where the freak is Murder of Crows?
Are you saying you need help with your puzzle? I'll come over there. Where's Heart?
I don't know. I'm almost done now. I'm using the cheat because I have to get to the next story
Oh,
about the girl on the boat. You remember Honey Badger? Honey Badger. Yeah, there was a Honey Badger, right? But there was also a Hammer Hatch. Are you from like? Wait, Hammer Hatch. Are you from like Israel or something? Am I right about that? Tell me. Am I? Tell me. Please tell me. Am I right on that? Let's see how much I remember. But I know you were around the other night because I said, oh, that's Hammer Hatch. We know Hammer Hatch. Hmm. This is crazy. Okay, we got it. The puzzle's done now. So now we can move on. Let's move on. Hammer Hatch, come on. Tell me, please. Tell me if I'm right. I'm right. See, look at that. I remember that. I remember you from a long, long, long time ago. But you came in the other night. You came in the other night. And somebody said, and I said, that's Hammer Hatch. We know Hammer Hatch from ages ago. I haven't seen you in ages, but then I saw you the other night. I know I did. I saw you somewhere. I don't know where it was. It was here. I had to be here. Where else would I see you? Come on. Let's look at that lady, see what's going on with that boat lady. The one that was killed on the Carnival cruise. That's a crazy thing. See how much I remember there? Yeah. Okay, let's see what they're going to say. FBI is probing the stepbrother. In that case, I still haven't arrested him or something, right? She was found under the bed, covered in life jackets. Let me go to the other source there. Okay, let's see. You should have shown us your new hair on the camera. Okay, where was I? Oh, I gotta go here. Turn this down, turn this down. All right, let's go. Anna Kemper's family photographed for first time since, let's see, they were photographed. What else happened? Okay, so this lady's saying, yes, she's my niece. Yes, she was found deceased. The only thing I know is that she was with her dad. Okay. They're saying she died of asphyxiation. Said that Anna Kepner's brother heard yelling commotion in her cruise cabin the night before she was found dead. Her younger brother reportedly heard yelling and chairs being thrown inside the cruise stateroom that night before the 18-year-old Florida cheerleader was found dead. Her devastated ex-boyfriend said the apparent commotion went down as Kepner was in the locked cabin alone with her 16-year-old stepbrother. Okay. Asphyxiation has been reported as the cause of death for Anna Kepner. Specific cause was an arm or bar was pushed against her throat. The presumed killer is the 16-year-old stepbrother. That's what they're saying. Allegedly. This is all allegedly. I think it's been revealed by police. And we know he's a suspect because the mother put it in the legal documents. It doesn't look like there's been an arrest or anything yet. So I don't know what they're waiting for exactly. So we have to see. People even have their surveillance photos, videos out there. Who knows what's going on? It's crazy. All right. Well, we'll keep following that. Let's see what else is going on out there in true crime. I told you all about the trial, and that Walsh is set for December 1st. Oh, here's that inbred family that Scooter watches. What they say about them. That's so. I don't know how she watches that. I really don't. I think that's the Whitakers or something. Oh my goodness. What is that? Okay, hang on just 2 seconds. Let's see. College dance team member dies 1 week after fellow student died. What? Where are they dying? California State. Destiny Morris, a 19-year-old Cal State Fullerton dancer, died November 14th. The week before, sophomore Lauren Turner died in a separate incident. Wow. Oh, hold on a minute. Stepbrother climbed on top of cheerleader in a video call before Crew's death. Ex-boyfriend said, oh, we got that. The ex-boyfriend said that, yeah. A married lawyer murdered after secret affair discovered. Oh. Multiple school children critically injured in a grizzly bear attack. What? It's craziness. What else is going on? Anna Kepner's mother speaks out after stepson is, let's see what she's saying. I don't know if this is, let's see what this is, anything new. The mother of the 18-year-old girl who was found dead on the Carnival cruise line. Okay, she's speaking out. She said she was a really good child. She never really complained much. She never really cried that much as a baby. As a teenager, she was the same. Heather told Inside Edition, head of the memorial on Thursday, that she had been told not to attend but planned to go in disguise. I'm going to put on a wig, wear some really high shoes. I'm only 4'9". Okay, we read that yesterday. She said that she got divorced from her father 13 years ago, and the girl had been on the cruise with her father's stepmother, but it isn't her stepmother, it's a paramour. 14-year-old biological brother and a stepbrother. Details about the stepbrother being investigated were revealed in a court filing as part of a custody dispute between the paramour, or who they're calling the stepmother, and about her divorce and stuff. Let's see here. So there's nothing more there. Let's see. Spencer LoFranco. Not sure who that is. Let's see here. Crime. Shoot. "11 injured in a grizzly bear attack." Where did that happen? Where do you think that happened? Let me see where that happened. Grizzly bear attack at the bus stop? That's scary. Florida deputy was killed while serving an eviction notice. Oh my gosh. Let's see. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh, look at this. This is crazy. I feel so bad. A bald eagle. Did you guys hear this? Look at this. Look at that. A driver in North Carolina, November 19th, was shocked when something crashed through the windshield, and it turned out, oh my gosh, this is horrible. It turned out to be a cat dropped by a bald eagle. You may not believe me, but I just had a bald eagle drop a cat through my windshield, she told the 911 operator. State troopers said the cat had been seen fighting the bird in midair. Oh my God, I can't take it. Before the incident, a driver in North Carolina was left bewildered after something crashed through a car's windshield. She discovered the object was a cat. According to the statement from North Carolina Highway Patrol, the woman was driving on US 74 in Swain County near, Bison City, about 65 miles outside of Asheville. The woman dialed 911, said, "You may not believe me, but," what she said, let's see. Oh my gosh. The car was going around 55 miles an hour when the cat made impact, shattering the glass. The driver had her car towed, got a ride to work after the incident. The woman was not injured and the cat died. How sad. Oh my gosh, that's terrible. Wow. Okay, I want to hear about this grizzly bear attack. This is horrible. It's horrible animals. But I gotta find out where this is. Canada, of course. Twisted, are you here? Oh my gosh, a grizzly bear attack. Hi, Mr. Chocolate. Remember that guy? Hi, Mr. Chocolate. I gotta move that. I gotta cover that up. I can't anymore with that, okay? A bear attack on a Canadian walking trail has left 11 people injured. Isn't that crazy? Let's see. Come on. 11 people injured, including children. An aggressive grizzly bear set upon the group, which was a mix of teachers and school children in Bella Coola, 435 miles northwest of Vancouver, British Columbia, leaving 2 people critically injured. Authorities are now hunting down the animal. Now, see, I don't understand why you're hunting down the animal, but the animal's doing what the animal does. They probably were around cut, but it's, I don't know. Let's see what happened here. Officers, Nuxalk Nation, the government of the Nuxalk people of Bella Coola, released a statement urging people to stay in their homes as the beast is hunted. Officers are armed. Remain indoors. Parent Veronica Schooner said one heroic teacher was hurt badly trying to protect the children. He got the whole brunt of it. She said the bear got so close to her son that he felt its fur. But it's going after somebody else. The mother added that some of the children, a mix of 4th and 5th graders, were hit by bear spray. He keeps crying for his friends, she added. And bear attacks in South Lake Tahoe, 2 87-year-olds inside their home. Arizona freeze warning. Wow. That's crazy. Daughter told mom to floor it while she held on to a pedestrian shirt. Oh my gosh. Oh, did you hear about that horrible thing in Ohio? That dad, Ryan Egan, he killed his kid, his stepkid, and the father of, it wouldn't even be a stepkid. I don't know why they're calling it a stepkid. His wife's new child, and then he killed himself, and the poor mother, and oh my gosh, it was a 7-year-old and a 7-month. It's just horrendous. Who took the picture? What the hell? Gross. Okay, let me see here. What is this now? Young father was starved, beaten, and isolated by his wife. Everybody's been, there's like, I don't know. Teenage surfer dies after rough conditions at Santa Cruz surfing spot. Who is Ben Bader? TikTok star Ben Bader? Who I don't. Let me see what it says here. This guy, does anybody know this? Anybody watch this guy here? It's he's died apparently, and they have his cause of death. Let me see here. Ben Bader's cause of death has been revealed. The Palm Beach County Medical Examiner's report states that it was natural and was caused by a coronary arteriosclerosis due to arteriosclerotic cardiovascular disease. According to the American Heart Association, the condition causes a person's arteries to develop a buildup of plaque, leading to a heart attack or stroke. The content creator was found unconscious at the private Florida community, Admiral's Cove Community Gymnasium. Wow. And so he was even working out, and he looks like he's not. He was 25. Okay. Ben did not appear to be in any physical distress. It said that he was running on a treadmill minutes before his unresponsive body was discovered. His toxicology report showed that codeine was found in his urine. The opioid medication was not in his blood, leading the medical examiner to report that Ben Bader had used it recently. It's worth noting that codeine did not contribute to Bader's death. The TikToker's mom, Karen, shared that Ben mentioned suffering from back and shoulder pain, and he took physical therapy for it. She stated that otherwise her son was in relatively good health. He was a content creator. He's based in Miami. He had more than 143,000 followers on TikTok, 50,000 on Instagram, and 40,000 on X. He focused on uploading lifestyle and finance-related videos. He was an entrepreneur, successful, ran a financial coaching course and a newsletter. His last video, uploaded to TikTok October 22nd, the day before his death, Ben told his followers to commit to one business at a time. He advised them to work with discipline and competence. Under the video, Bader's followers expressed their tributes. Wow. Once again, most of us think we're not going to die today or even soon, but the reality is our next moment is not guaranteed. Our lives consist of moments, so try to be present and thankful for each and every one. R.I.P. Sweet soul. Wow. Crazy. Oh, look at this. The U.S. is set to execute the first woman. I don't believe that. They executed a woman. I remember reading it. I think it was in an Indiana prison, wasn't it? I remember that. This is not the first. Where is this the first woman in over 200 years? I don't know. I don't believe that. I do not. That's a lie. That is a lie. Let's see. We'll find out where they're lying, because I know it was in Lake Terre Haute. The lady that cut somebody's baby out, she was executed. I remember that. And that was like a couple years ago. This is Krista Gale Pike, is the only woman on Tennessee's death row. Let's see, maybe in Tennessee. The U.S. state of Tennessee may soon carry out its first execution. Yeah, Tennessee. They put a headline that it's so infuriating. Why do you have to lie? Supreme Court gave the green light to carry out the sentence to Krista Gale Pike. She is the only woman on Tennessee's death row. She was 18 years old when she lured 19-year-old Caylee Slemmer into a wooded area. Oh, let me tell you about that Holly Bobo. There's something new in that case now. Okay. And that's also Tennessee. Was 18 when she lured 19-year-old Caylee Slemmer into a wooded area close to the University of Tennessee's agricultural campus in Knoxville on July 12, 1995. They were both involved in Knoxville Job Corps, a career training program, and Pike allegedly convinced herself that Slemmer was interested in her boyfriend, who was 17-year-old to Darrell Shipp, and in a fit of jealousy, he became the ringleader of a shocking plan. She contrived to get Slemmer into a wooded area with the help of that boy, okay? And I feel like they had a Lifetime movie about this. And they had a third accomplice, Shandola Peterson. Pike, the woman you see there, slashed Slemmer's throat with a box cutter, attacked her with a meat cleaver, carved a pentagram into her chest, and ultimately crushed her skull with a piece of asphalt. Claiming a piece of Slemmer's broken skull as a grisly trophy, Pike reportedly showed it and flaunted it off to her classmates before her arrest. Oh, wow. Retired Detective Randy York worked the case, and he said she was very giddy, she laughed, she was cooperative, and she wanted to tell us all about it. She had a piece of the skull wrapped in a napkin in her coat pocket. That was her trophy. It showed that the piece fit exactly as the piece of the puzzle in the skull. She was convicted of first-degree murder in 1996 and sentenced to death. Let's see here. In 2004, Pike had additional 25 years added after being convicted of trying to strangle an inmate in the prison. Wow. For almost 30 years, her case has been in the appeals process, but according to court documents, the state of Tennessee has requested an execution date. She is now 49 years old. The date has been set for September 30th, 2026. Pike's legal team continues to fight her sentence, arguing that at her age at the time should be taken into account, as well as her history of childhood trauma, abuse, and an untreated mental illness. Wow. What about the other people? What happened to them? Okay, I don't know where you guys are. Not even. Let me go back and look at what you guys are doing, because you're probably lifetime friend. Behind bars, Ohio babysitter. Uh-oh. Bear attack surge across Japan. What is going on? Oh my gosh. There's a new Jodi Arias documentary, okay? Wow. What's that about? And the Gonsalves family is going to file a lawsuit against Brian Koberger's school. Let's see what else is going on. All right, let me check one other thing, and I'm going to check on you guys. See if anybody's here with me or if I'm just here alone. Hi, Billy Boy. Untreated mental illness. Oh, you mean she's crazy? Well, that's unbelievable, right, Billy, what she did? I mean, like, that's a little bit of a... That's more than an overreaction of somebody that you think is interested in your boyfriend. But you know what else? There was also two other people there, that thought that was a good idea. I mean, that's even worse. That's like... Not one of them says, hey, you know what? This is quite an overreaction. I'm with you, honey. I'm not with her. Don't worry about it. Right? Isn't that crazy? What the hell is wrong with people? They're just nuts. Okay, let me look at something else. This world is just nuts. Really, it is. Sorry, it disillusion anybody. Okay. Community outraged. What did they just say? Hold on a minute. Somebody just said the community is outraged over something. Hold on, let me get this this other thing here, if I can ever get this to this. Oh my goodness. Today's Friday, tomorrow's Saturday. I've got so much to do, you guys, you have no idea. All right, let's see what we got over here. Oh, wow, listen to this one. Where did this happen? Hawaii. Oh, wonderful. Listen to this crap. Put that up there. Dr. Blaine McGraw worked at the Tripler Army Medical Hospital in Hawaii from 2019 to June 2023. Okay? He was a gynecologist. He worked at Army hospitals in Hawaii and Texas. He's now suspended and under criminal investigation for allegedly filming and photographing patients during examinations. Can you tell me how this is happening, please? My doctor doesn't usually have a cell phone with him when he's... Come on, how the hell is that happening? Dr. Blaine McGraw is accused of having touched patients inappropriately, filmed and photographed them. Okay. The Army knew complaints had been made about McGraw at Fort Hood and years earlier at Tripler Army Medical Center in Hawaii. Yet leadership dismissed the warnings, laughed off credible allegations, and allowed him to keep practicing. One victim alleged McGraw placed his phone in his shirt breast pocket with the camera facing forward after pretending to take a call from a nurse. What the hell? What the hell? What the hell? Come on. The allegations involve one of the most egregious violations of medical trust imaginable: non-consensual videotaping and photographing of patients during intimate medical examinations, coupled with improper touching. Wow. Okay, so if any of you have been to Fort Hood, Texas, or Hawaii, better get in touch with somebody quickly. All right? It's the Cobos Law Firm. All right? Right. Okay, what is this? House of Horrors, girl 14 found weighing 35 pounds. This guy looks... Let's see. Oh boy. Authorities discovered the girl. They thought she was 6 or 7 years old. A 14-year-old girl in Wisconsin was discovered weighing only 35 pounds while living in her father and stepmother's home. Authorities found the child, whose identity has not been shared. She was severely malnourished with respiratory failure, cardiac dysfunction, severe acute hepatitis, pancreatitis. Oh, wow. Initially, doctors were unsure if the little girl would survive. Okay. District Attorney Julie Duquesne testified that she viewed the photos of the child, who looked like a skeleton, literally skin and bones. The victim's father, right there, Walter Goodman, 47, and his wife, Melissa Goodman. Her daughter, Savannah Lefevre, 29. Lefevre's partner, Kayla Stemler, 27, were all arrested, 4 people, on 3 felony counts of chronic neglect of a child with consequence being great bodily harm, and 2 felony counts of chronic neglect of a child. For what purpose? For what purpose? Authorities discovered the victim after her father called 911. He believed the girl was very lethargic and weak. Upon arrival, the officers believed she was 6 or 7. The child was hospitalized in Green Bay before being transferred to Children's Wisconsin in Wauwatosa, Wisconsin. The child was hospitalized. She requested a second portion of food, and when it was given to her, she told medical personnel that her father would be so mad. She allegedly told the medical staff that her father doesn't like when I eat much. And after that, she said that after she was told she's going to receive 3 meals a day, her eyes lit up when she was informed about the meal schedule. The child began living with her father in 2020 after her mother went to jail due to COVID. She was attending school virtually. The next year, father claimed the child was being homeschooled. She was neglected for a number of years. She has not gone to the doctor since September 2020. She has not been in school since COVID. Walter told authorities he monitored and communicated with his daughter via a webcam in a room in which she was allegedly locked inside most of the time. A witness claimed Walter said, "Well, I kept her locked up in a bedroom with a camera on her, and that's where she stays." Walter claimed his daughter has autism, and that's why she didn't eat and sleep. However, text messages sent between Stemler and Melissa, which were submitted into video evidence, paint a different picture. Just so you know, the victim was taking more than 1 bite at a time, and when Savannah confronted her, she continued to argue with her, so I used the belt. Oh, that's nice. Allegedly texted Melissa, according to the criminal complaint. She was taking more than 1 bite at a time. Oh my gosh. And I want you to see, okay? They starved a girl. They freaking starved and beat a girl. And would you freaking look at this? Look at every one of these women. They are punishing her for eating more than 1 bite at a time. Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? Are you freaking kidding me? Oh boy. That. Wow. Walter allegedly made similar remarks about the child. Police say that a friend told authorities that he confronted Walter about the way he was treating his daughter, and Walter said, "If I could leave her somewhere in the woods, I'd leave her." The complaint also alleges that Walter told his daughter, "I wish I could kill you." Wow. A GoFundMe page created to raise funds for her recovery stated that since her rescue, she has grown 3 inches and doubled her body weight. Wow. That is just crazy. Hang on a minute. We're going to shift a gear right now because I can't look at these people anymore. Let's see here. Trying to look for a different type of a story. Something that what? That's not good. Okay, how about we change gears? How about we change gears? We're going to change it big time right now, okay? Big time. You know what we're going to do right now? You know what? You have no idea. You have no idea. I guarantee you wouldn't guess it in a million years. And it's not the real estate game, and it's not anything like that. You don't know. Hold on a minute. Let me get it. And you're going to be glad you stayed. Hang on a minute. Hang on a minute. Hang on. Let me go over here. Let me get something, and I'm gonna give you something really helpful. Just hang on for a second. I have to open my, okay. Here we go. All right, let's do this. Okay. Okay, so let's look at this. Come on. How about come on. Hang on a minute. This is driving me crazy. One second, I've got to go into the other thing here. Is it geotag? No, no, not doing that. We're going to do something better than that. Better, okay? Let me get it here. I've got to get into my... We're going to do something much better than that. Much, much better. All right, much better. Let's get here. All right. Right over here. This is going to be helpful, what I'm going to help you with right now. Really helpful. Okay. Wow, the internet, what is like the hamsters are like running in the wheel very slowly tonight? What is up? Right? What is going on? My goodness. Oh my goodness, please. See, Evie said she was going to come into the chat, but I don't think she did she? She's going to miss out on this. That's for sure. All right, let's do this. Come on. Okay. To get into my YouTube here, please. Let me shut all these freaking people down. Hold on, let me shut all those wackos down over there. Oh my goodness. Okay. Now my mouse. What the freak is going on here with my mouse? Okay. Now let me show you something. Oh, I see what's going on. Yeah, sure I do. Now watch what I'm going to show you. Come on. Okay, there we go. Which you've all been waiting for. All right. Come on. Where should we go? Let's switch. Which way should we go, Joe? Okay, let's go over here. All right, let's go right here. Okay, I'm going to show you the best some of the best Black Friday deals, okay? I did a whole video on whatchamacallit, on Walmart's. Okay, so if you have to get air tags, who wants air tags? Do you know the lowest price you're going to pay on air tags? Well, supposedly $17.99. You're going to get air tags at Best Buy and I believe at Target as well. Get away from me. The air tags. if you get the, I think it's the, you have to get the, if you want the regular one, it's going to be $22.99. If you want the open box, you can get it for $17.99. If you're looking for air tags. Just so you don't, those right there. Air tags. So you can find those at Best Buy, and I believe it's at Target too. Okay. Now I showed you, this is a great deal. And Jen got one, and I got one already. Okay. Let me show this to you. It's this. Oh my gosh, this is crazy. Watch this. This is crazy. What is going on with the internet? This video real. What's happening? Okay, let me show you this. All right. Okay. And you can get this now. Here. This is a great deal. I'm going to show you this. This is a great deal. This is a great deal. This is a great deal. Oh my gosh, will you stop? This shop back right here. I'm ready to scream right now. Okay, here we go. Look at this. Now, I'm serious. I'm totally serious. I bought one and Jen bought one. Because it is, look at that, stainless steel. It's a compact size because we're looking for one that we can have around the house. We already have the big giant ones. I want one that I can use like to clean up where Jimmy gets the fireplace stuff like crazy with the logs and my car. And this is compact and it's nice and it's stainless steel and it's wet dry vac, and so you're going to be able to clean it out like way better. We have like many huge rigid ones. I don't care. It's $29.97, regularly $85, and it comes with a car cleaning kit and the extenders. So we both got one of those. Okay, we really like that. She's going to use it to clean the cobwebs and stuff, and yeah, it's great. So we both got one of those. I think that's pretty nice. What do you think? Let me see what you think. That's like the best, one of the best deals. I can't find you guys. I don't know what's going on. I think I'm just going to call it a night because the computer's not playing nice. Nobody's playing nice. You guys don't want to do Casey Anthony anymore, so I'm going to be angry. New battery? No. My mouse is not acting up. It's my thing. What? No, you can't use a vacuum, Sassy. You'll ruin your vacuum. You'll ruin it trying to click up logs and stuff. No, you have to use a shop vac. Plus, if you have to sop up water or anything, this is what you need. No, you don't want to. I don't want to use my good vacuums on that. And plus, the shop vacs have like unbelievable suction. You can just suck up anything in them. It's great. I always use a shop vac for things, but this is a more compact size. And then I'm going to have Jimmy take my big, huge one, and they can have it out there in the garage or something with their other ones. But I'm going to get this. I got this. I already ordered it. It's only $29. It's not like I'm spending a fortune. And I just want it. It's going to help me out immensely. Well, yeah, for the fireplace, for like not cleaning the actual ash, but when Jimmy brings the logs in, he makes a hell of a mess with like tiny little pieces of bark and stuff like that. And then my kids work a landscaping job, and they're constantly tracking in like grass, even tell them, oh, leave your feet, leave your shoes there. Somebody will inevitably forget. I'll go up, and I have stairs that are hardwood, and I'll find like this is just very good having all of these boys. Yeah. Plus my car. Yeah. That's what she said. Okay, I won't. No, it's really good. Come on. Yeah, you can't do that. If I did that with my Dyson or one of my, it would be terrible. It would not be good for the vacuum. Anyway, it's a great deal. It's $29 freaking dollars. You really can't beat that with a 10-foot pole. That's one of my favorite things. I showed it to Jen. Her husband bought it immediately, like that. Okay, wait a minute. I've got to have a tablespoon of vinegar. But I think I'm going to go because it's 2 something, and tomorrow's Saturday, and tomorrow's Saturday. Cost you that much? Yeah. Oh my gosh, cost $40 to eat at McDonald's, but I don't like McDonald's. But yeah. Yep. It's the little things. Okay. I will see you all tomorrow. Okay? And hit the likes. Please hit the likes, because we need the likes hit. We need the likes hit. We need the love. If you're not a member, become a Rambler. Helps the channel. We help you in return. Probably have a movie night tomorrow night. Finish watching the Murdaugh saga. Maybe. Right? All right. Love you guys. God bless. Prayers. Be good. Be safe. Don't get in trouble. Good night. God bless. Prayers for all that need them, and we all need them. We all need them. For sure. Okay, I've got to figure out how we get out of here. I don't even know how. I'm not even sure how I get out of here. I've got to find it. I can't. Oh my gosh, I can't find out how to close this crazy live. This is unbelievable. Where is my stop the stream button? Is that Mercury retrograde or something? Because something is wacko tonight. All right, I'm just going to stop it in Streamlabs and